Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 22nd, and right now we're looking at a combination of the infrared satellite and visible satellite imagery here, and you can see the sun rising across the planet. When it does so, it transitions to the visible satellite imagery. You can see a lot of smoke here from those Alberta fires making its way down across some of the Rockies, east of the Rockies there. A lot of people dealing with that nasty air quality there. We are going to bring some precipitation to that region, hopefully squelch some of those fires. You can see the troughing across Pacific Northwest right now, and some of the lower level clouds here across the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at the extended forecast as well, as it looks like we're going to warm up as we go through this week coming up, but then we're going to have some troughing try to get back in here. The models have some pretty good discrepancy between themselves, and we'll take a look at those details coming up here in a moment. This is National Weather Service Spokane. You can see the temperatures warming up as you get into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as the 80s return for a lot of the areas here. You can't rule out a thunderstorm, mainly the northern mountains here up through BC here as well, but nothing like what we were dealing with the last few days. This is looking at Seattle yesterday. Look at this. We dropped way back down to 60 degrees here. Trace of precipitation after that warm stretch we had, including 4 straight record highs there in mid-May. But we're going to warm back up again a bit here as we go towards the end of the week as well. More on that here in a moment. Here we're looking at North America. There's Alaska, BC, Washington, the troughing over the Pacific Northwest here. This is yesterday afternoon's European run. So you can see the troughing here, and we start to build this ridge again. As that trough kind of still hanging out a little bit here, but the ridging is close enough where we're going to get some warm up here, especially as we go through this end of this week here in towards the weekend. And then the European's been kind of cat and mouse here with where this next trough is coming from, but you can see this one kind of setting up on the west coast here. This could bring us some interesting weather here across Pacific Northwest. Confidence is still low right now. We're looking over 200 hours out, and it's just one of several different scenarios that are possible right now, but this could kind of bring a southeasterly flow with some more moisture and some more thunderstorms across Pacific Northwest. But we're just kind of looking out in the tea leaves right now here. We'll watch to see how this trends over the next few days. This is looking at that precipitable water here. And if we scroll through here, you can kind of see that onshore flow we're getting kind of kicking that deeper moisture out. But again, some precipitation falling across Alberta here the next few days is likely to help put out some of those fires. Now, if we go on to the extended a little bit further here, I want to show you where that low sets up. You can kind of see it spinning here off the California coast, moving up towards Oregon. You can see some of that deeper moisture again being brought back towards Pacific Northwest. Again, this is just one scenario of several that we have. I just thought I'd point it out for now. We'll watch to see how this develops as we go on into the future days. This would be lightning flash density potential. As we go through the day today, you'll notice some of that activity maybe for the northeast portion of Washington here as they fire up again today a bit. But you can see a lot of that activity down through California, Nevada, extreme southeast Idaho here, and through some of Montana and Alberta as we go through the day today. Again, tomorrow, we'll scroll through here, and you can't rule out a thunderstorm maybe down across some of southern Oregon here as we go through the afternoon hours tomorrow as well. But for the most part, we get a break for the thunderstorms across a lot of the Pacific Northwest until we go on to the extended. Now I'm going to speed ahead a little bit more here, and you can see some of this moisture being reintroduced here across Pacific Northwest as we go on later through the period. So we'll be watching that closely and see just what kind of track one of these low pressure systems takes as it approaches the West Coast or North America here. This is looking at 500 millibar height and 850 millibar temperature. So you can see pretty good model agreement here. This is when we're looking at 18,000 feet, basic ridge and trough positioning. And you can see as we get towards the weekend, the big discrepancy that starts to arrive in the models here. By the time you go on into Friday night and Saturday morning, you got big discrepancy on just exactly where the trough is going to set up. That's why we have such a low confidence in the forecast once we get out towards this weekend. This is looking at the GFS. Let's see what it has to say. Here we go at the troughing nearby. Ridging starts to develop as we go through midweek here. We're going to warm up some. You can kind of see it hangs out this trough here a little bit across Pacific Northwest, and it wants to swing by these systems into British Columbia. Pretty big differences between the European. You notice it doesn't have that low pressure system setting up here over California through the extended like the European did. It's more of a Gulf of Alaska trough here. This is hot off the press as the 12Z GFS run here, but this would also bring a cool down here as this troughing is likely to bring some precipitation even into portions of the Pacific Northwest. But we'll have to see and try to get some model confidence here as we go on into the future. This is looking at the GFS last night's run, 16-day precipitation anomaly. Look at some of these big deficits here along the west coast of BC, down through the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, including western portions here. But you'll notice eastern BC, Alberta getting some above average precipitation there. That would be good for those fires out there. And you can see above average signal across some of Montana, Idaho, down through Nevada as well. This is looking at the national blended models here. There's Seattle, Portland, Spokane would be out here. You can see Eastern Oregon. You can see the Valley in Idaho where it is warmer. And we'll scroll through this. So this is Tuesday. You can see Seattle, maybe mid, upper 60s. By the time we get to tomorrow, look at that 71, Portland 76, Spokane 73. Then look at Thursday. Look at that. Seattle upper 70s, Portland into the 80s, Willamette Valley, Eastern Washington. The heat starts to return. There we go. Friday, look at 80 plus in Seattle, Vancouver up there. Southwest BC, Vancouver Island warming up nicely here as we go on into the weekend. Saturday, a bit of a cool down here. Still some uncertainty where the next troughing is going to come in, how hard and fast it's going to come in as well. And we go to Sunday, we start to cool down a bit more. And we'll see how we go on through the extended there. But as you can see, we have a nice end of the week coming up here and potentially a nice Saturday as well. Now looking at this is El Nino. 3.4. This is hot off the presses. We are now into El Nino territory. It's not an official El Nino now. You have to hold that average for several months, but we are now at that cutoff, that threshold where you can start to consider us being in El Nino conditions. And this is where we measure this Nino 3.4 across the equatorial Pacific, 5 degrees north and south latitude there. And the equator is right there. There's Australia, South America, Mexico, and Hawaii right here. So we just got into that threshold now. This is what's known as Kelvin waves. And you kind of see the alternating phase here between warm and cooler phases of the Kelvin wave here. And you notice the last two, this one warmed up a bit here, and now we're really establishing those El Nino conditions across a lot of the Pacific Ocean here, as this one is very warm, as you can see. This is looking at the equatorial Pacific sea surface temperatures, and you can see along the coast of South America, this would be 80 west versus the date line here at 180. So you can see the very warm air here, but the entire equatorial Pacific really starting to warm up now with that El Nino on its way. This is looking at the forecast here, and once you get above 1.0, you're into moderate territory. 1.5 is strong. So it does look like we may be headed towards a strong El Nino coming up here. And I show this one quite a bit too. You can see the warm tongue as we develop through the months. It would be September, October, November, December, January here. This was issued hot off the presses today, May 22nd. El Nino watch, 90% chance of El Nino persisting into the winter time coming up. This was issued a few days ago too. This goes through the summertime months, June, July, August. You can see the above average signal for a lot of the west, kind of highlighted here across Arizona and New Mexico, but the Pacific Northwest, we're pretty warm this time of year as it is. So this above average signal could get interesting, and that below average signal for precipitation for the summer months is a pretty big deal. We are one of the driest places in North America during the summer months. So any kind of signal for below average precipitation is a big deal here across Pacific Northwest. This is weeks 3 to 4. This was issued May 19th. And look at this through June 16th. Look at this above average signal across Pacific Northwest and below average signal here across the desert Southwest. This would be precipitation. You can see Western Washington, Oregon included in that signal for below average, the Intermountain West with the above average signal shown there. This is the drought monitor. So I set this back to December 6, 2022, when we had the big time drought across the state of California. We had some exceptional drought across Oregon as well. Washington had moderate drought going on. You can see the drought going on across the plains, the Intermountain West as well. Now this time slider is going to bring us to May 16th. And as I bring it across, check that out. We're erasing a lot of that drought across Nebraska. Colorado's been improving. Montana, Utah. Look at that improvement across Nevada and Oregon. We erased that exceptional drought that was persisting across the east slopes of the Cascades of Oregon. And look at California, just wiped that slate clean. Vast improvements here across much of the West. So what a great drought improvement we went through here over the last few months. Very impressive here. So anyway, I hope you guys appreciate that out there. I mean, you can't really draw it up any better here, especially for places like California. But anyway, yeah, we're going to warm up again this week here. We'll watch those systems as they try to roll in here towards the weekend here. Still big discrepancies you saw between the GFS and the European, and the models have kind of been waffling back and forth. So we'll watch that as we go tomorrow. I'll probably be out chasing later this week. I'll bring my stuff on the road with me, and I'll try to do the daily briefings while I'm out there also. So anyway, yeah, we'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.